All right, well, welcome back, Raider Nation. This is Raider Sparks. Thanks for joining the Raider roster report tonight. We're going to go over free agency. Had a lot of comments to get going on free agency, and so might as well get it going today. Today the combine started. So not a lot happened today with the combine, so probably a good time to do some free agent stuff. But anyways, got a great show for you. It's gonna be maybe a little longer than normal, but I think it'll be good. I tried to put together the best possible roster I could to keep in an account with the salary cap and that type of thing, and actually and kind of have it in mind also next year's salary cap as well, since I kind of started doing this stuff to get us to the Super Bowl in Vegas in 2023-24. So that's kind of the focus. But yeah, if we get there a year earlier, that's even better, right? So please like, share, subscribe. Definitely make comments, especially this video. We use comments to build the roster because by no means do I think this roster is perfect. I'm sure many of you have some great ideas out there. I learned about a lot of different kind of players that I hadn't even heard of sometimes in the comment section and those types of things. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, so definitely make comments. If you're a Raider YouTuber, please put it in there. If you're listening, I'll subscribe to your channel and kind of get a feel for what all Raider Nations think. I think it's great to kind of learn a little bit. But yeah, had a lot of fun putting this roster together. It was very challenging. I think the first time I did it, I was up to like 300 million. I'm way over the salary cap. You know, there's so many players you'd want to have and re-sign all your guys and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the salary cap and this type of thing, it's just not possible. And there's a lot you have to consider, especially the draft. So I did that whole draft series, and hopefully everybody got a chance to watch all the different position groups and the series I did. But a lot of that was to build up the free agency because one, it's cool to see the prospects and then get ready for the combine, that type of thing, but also see what talents in the draft, especially as far as positions go. So you can kind of make some decisions on free agency and players to resign because you kind of try to focus a little bit about who you might be able to get in the draft to augment your team a little bit, not to spend quite as much in free agency, that type of thing. So it was good to do that. And it kind of played a role in kind of what we did here. But anyways, yeah, definitely want to try to set out to build the best roster I could for 2022. Keep in mind 2023 as best as I could, and yeah, try to be about 10 million under the cap was my goal. I wanted to finish about 198, so I gave that a shot, and definitely probably the next episode I do, or maybe we'll do some draft stuff again. But the next free agent episode I'll do is try to incorporate some of the ideas you guys have about players to add to the roster, try to see how they fit sort of within the scheme of the salary cap. I mean, I kept putting players in and then having to take them out because the cap wasn't working out and all that kind of stuff. So it was an adventure playing around with all this. But I think at the end, I think I did a pretty good team. But hopefully you think so as well. Part of this was to get also the 10 million. I wanted at the end to be flexible so I could get those post draft free agents or those post June 1st cuts as teams maybe have some surprise cuts so we could have some money to get those folks. And I'm not going to tell you yet if I did the 198 yet, but we'll get there soon. um, Definitely wanted to get some priorities. Carr extended, Crosby and Renfro. I think those are important to kind of take a look at. Maybe take a look at Waller's contract as well, and Yannick's even as well for that. So yeah, kind of take a look at those things, see how it can help out. I really was trying not to. The first time I did this, I tried not to do anything like that, but it just wasn't possible to put together the best team I could without doing some restructures and doing some extensions and that type of thing. And Carr's contract you absolutely have to do, especially if you're going to consider 2023. You absolutely have to do his contract now. It doesn't work. The other guys, I think you can do post June 1st. I think there's some rules involved with that. Again, I don't know. There's cap experts that may be listening to this, so please don't kill me on the cap. I did the best I could. I'm an expert at it, but I'm sure a lot of you know a lot more about the cap than I do. So don't crush me. Just want to have a little fun, trying to put together a really good roster to maybe get to the Super Bowl. And then, but I think it all starts too with the players we have to cut. So we'll go through that first. Obviously, and with this too, I wasn't go- when I cut players. I knew I was going to cut players, but I thought I was going to take the hit right the same year. But again, that's not even possible to get the best team you can. And so, and also if I when I go to the list of players out that I'm keeping or building the roster with, if I don't have them on the cuts list here with the dead money, or I don't mention them there, it's because there's no dead money, so it's free to cut them. So it really doesn't affect the salary cap. But yeah, let's get into it. So obviously Littleton will be gone. He counts 4 million again, or dead money in 2022, but 10 in 2023, 10 million. Kowalski 1.2 million this year, 3.8 the next in dead money. Nassib 1.6 this year, 5 the next, which that sucks. Kenyon Drake 5.5 this year. Going to let him go, and Amik Robertson will let him go. It's only 200K this year, so that's 12.5 million. Except the bad part about it is next year, 2023, it's 18 million already in dead space. So that kind of sucks. I do have a trade that we'll get into, and let's see what else. So that puts us at the dead money that I just did was 12.5. We currently have 8.4, but I'm gonna or yeah, we currently have uh, 10.2, but I'm gonna get back 8.4 from Ruggs and Arnett, leaving us 1.8. So if you add up the 1.8 to 12.5, and then the draft's about 10, and the special teams is about 7.1. So you're looking right around 31 million, maybe a little change in there of dead money that we have going on. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Or not dead money, 31 million, but that would include the draft and special teams. So 31 million, and obviously 198 is the goal. So let's see how we can spend some money. So it's looking all right. The dead money kind of stinks, but again, we're going to get that money back from Ruggs and Arnett for sure, or hopefully most of it. But anyways, so yeah, we'll get into it here. And see how this all plays out. So I will say, as far as the contracts go, so Carr is a must. We have to get him. We have to get him set up for sure. We've got to get his contract figured out. No doubt about that. So let's see what we can do here. So first of all, with Carr, we don't have to. Obviously the 19 million or 20 million basically he's got on the contract right now. He could play, but he's not going to play under that contract. He's going to need to be an extension. And I tried everything I could to get him extended and get all the top free agents, and it's impossible. Like I don't know how Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, if they're both going to be the highest pay of their positions, how that would work. Because I tried so many times with Carr to get it to work, and it just wouldn't work out. But anyway, so my whole thought process with Carr is the 20 million this year. So the first thing I do is ask him to play under, but that's obviously not going to happen. The agent's not going to go for that. So um, basically, I would basically say maybe we look at trading Carr. And I actually did a video on that with Jalen Hurts, which sounds crazy with the Jets. But if I got 2 first rounders and Jalen Hurts, I would definitely do it because I'm not really in the camp of giving Carr a bunch of money because I don't think he's that quarterback. However, at this point, unless I got 2 first round picks, if I want to get to the Super Bowl in 2 years, that's the best option. And that's pretty much what the agent will say too. The draft's not that great for quarterbacks, and free agent market's not that great either. So you're going to need draft picks to really build up a team, and then hope to land one that hits, or get a free agent that hits with your system, or wait for the following year to get a rookie quarterback. So it's kind of a Carr has some good leverage, I think, in that. So it's kind of tough to do it, and I don't know if too many teams are going to be willing to give up 2 first round picks this year. There's 2 or 3 teams that have them. I don't know if they'd be willing to give it up. So I think at the end of the day, I think we're all going to be left with getting Carr, uh, extended on a deal. Hopefully, that's good for both parties. Obviously, he's talked about getting money, but also the extension and also playing with players that he wants. So I kind of try to keep that in mind as I build the roster as well. All these players have players that they want to play with, and obviously the quarterback's going to drive some of that or a lot of that type of thing. But other players might have some take on that too. And I definitely tried to find players that were compatible with the system for a scheme fit, but also maybe familiar with the system. So I'll kind of talk through that as well. That was kind of a focus, but Carr's obviously out there talking about his extension a little bit now and saying he wants to play with players that he wants to play with, basically. So, but anyways, if I'm the Raiders, I'll talk about the return on investment. There's no playoff wins, uh, definitely no Super Bowls, no Super Bowl wins, and this is a corporation now with the Patriot way. It's a corporate structure, so they're looking at return on investment. And so far, Carr really hasn't given them that return on investment. They've had 8 years. If he plays out this 19th year, his contract would be around 130.5. Well, top 10 all time is 130.9 is Cam Newton. So they've invested. In fact, at one point they made him the highest paid player in football, and they didn't get anything out of that return on investment. So now, everybody's talking like he's going to be a top 5 paid quarterback, yet 8 years in, we have gotten zero return on this investment here, and we've committed to him. It's not like we have not committed to Derek Carr. We made him the highest paid player at one point, and he's just short of being a top 10 all time paid player or all time paid quarterback, anyways. So kind of hard to justify the not having not committed to him. But we're in this boat now where he's probably our best option to get to the Super Bowl in 2 years. So we're going to make it happen, right? So what I did is I did an extension for him. It would go through 2027, so this coming year, 5 years on top of it. It's the only way I can kind of get the numbers to work out so that I could get the best one, that a contract I think is somewhat reasonable for him to take, and two, um, it helps me with the cap, or helps us with the cap a little bit. So, and I kind of did it differently. The other extension that I'll do is basically signing bonus and just play for a little bit this year. Obviously, they get their signing bonus, but very little cap hit. But with Carr, I actually gave him a raise this year, and so I spread the money out more throughout the rest of the contract. So that way, um, basically that way, 2023 and beyond, it was not as big of a hit. So hopefully that makes sense. So basically, I turned his 20 million into a signing bonus, so you can spread that out over the 6 years. So it's 3.3 million a year. Then I gave him a 22 base. That's 42 this year. The cap hit, that was 25.3 because I spread out the signing bonus. And then the following years, 2023 through 2027, he'd be at 35.3 cap hit, 32 salary, and then with the signing bonus, the cap hit goes up to 35.3. I'd give him a 72 guarantee, so the next 2 years are guaranteed, and that's probably something he may not do. But listen, I mean, after 2023, it's been 10 years. If we haven't got the return on investment we want, there's no point continuing to do this. You need to go somewhere else. The good thing with the contract for us is we still have 4 years left, and it would all be predetermined, the base salary plus incentive. So if we're winning, if we win playoff games, we get to the championship games, we win the Super Bowl, that type of thing. We don't have to go renegotiate every time. Just kickers automatically kick in to keep them getting paid. I think it's a way better contract for the Raiders and for Carr. Really, I mean, after 2 more years, if it doesn't get it done, he needs to go somewhere else. Bottom line. So 72 million is not the highest guaranteed. I mean, number top 10 guaranteed 10. Stafford's at 92 million, so it's short of that. But this contract, it breaks out. It's 210 in total contract value, and right now that puts him, about number three, I think, behind Mahomes and Allen, because Ryan is at 5 at 150, so it's over that. So definitely it's a solid contract. And then as far as average per year, it's 35 average, which is tied with Russell Wilson for fifth. So we're basically saying he's a top 5 quarterback. We're just not giving him as much guaranteed money. Obviously, we moved on from him after that second year. Then there is some dead money or void year money for the signing bonus, 3.3 million for 4 years that we'd be on the hook for. But still a very tradable contract. Somebody still might want him at that rate. Um, so anyways, that's what I would do. So we'd be taking a cap hit on Carr for 25.3 million this year, And so when we get to all the players, I'll break all that down for you. But that's essentially what I would do. I mean, it's still paying him like a top five quarterback. He doesn't have the guarantee he might want. However, there's incentives built in if we win, and it's still a respectful contract. I think it's best, and it gives him a raise. I mean, right now he's guaranteed nothing, and now and all of a sudden he's going to be guaranteed $72 million, which has to say something for him. And by spreading it out over that longer period of time, it was easier to sign guys into the future. So the next guy we're talking about is Waller. So I'm not really into to giving him an extension yet. I mean, it would be nice because you could save money now. I mean, his extension would probably be something like he's got 2 years left, so 14 million. So you convert that to a signing bonus. You probably give him a 2022 through 2025, so you can spread the bonus out. It'd be 3.5 a year. So he'd play this year 2022 at 3.5, and then uh, 23, 24, 25 would probably be right around 12 million. So the cap hit for those years would be 15.5 million each. Probably around what 26 or so guaranteed. It's a $50 million contract, which puts him about the fifth highest, I believe, for tight ends, right in that range. So, but I just don't know if I'd want to do it yet. So I think I'm going to stick with his salary when I do it at 7.5 this year, and then see how he fits into the system. He still has another year on his contract, and plus, if he's not happy with Carr or Carr's not happy with him, maybe we don't, and maybe we really improve our wide receiver core, so we don't need a pass catching dominant tight end anymore. We're going to rely on our receivers like most teams do, and then have a tight end that can just is going to get open and make big plays because the wide receivers on the outside are so damn good. So we'll see how that plays out. But I don't. And plus, you know what? He's 30. He'll be 31. So you know the new contract is 32. I don't know. It's kind of getting up there in age a little bit. So I don't feel great about that. So I'll just keep him at the 7.5, and then if down the road I need cap relief and extension looks possible, then maybe we revisit that. But yeah, let's do Crosby next. So he's probably going to be around 19 million a year on his extension. So if you just take what he owes, 4 million, make that a signing bonus, and then extend him out through 2027, you could take about basically 600, $700,000 a year signing bonus. Spread that out over the contract. He'd play this year right around 700K. At 19 million, so his cap hit from 2023 to 2027 would be 19.6 would be the cap hit, and about 50 million guaranteed is probably what he's going to come out at. And I think Mitchell Rentz had that, and Renfro, and even Waller's numbers on his show. So I kind of used those numbers. They seem pretty legit. They seem reasonable to me, so kind of went with that. So, but the good thing is Crosby, this year to help us sign players because he'd be right around 600,000-700,000 for the year. And then Renfro, he's got 2.6 is what he's due this year, but take that to a signing bonus and sign him through 2026, so a 4-year extension. It'd be 500K was what he played for this year. 10 million a year from 2023 to 26. So his cap hit would be 10.5 through those years, about 21 guaranteed. So about 500K for Renfro. That helps us again sign players this year. And then Yannick, honestly, I don't know how it works, but I went to overthecap.com and you could restructure him and save a bunch of money. So he essentially played for $6 million this year. I think it's basically taking the $9 million and creating a void year for next year. But I mean, hopefully we could re-sign him. But just for now, just for salary purposes, we'll get him down to 6, move the money until next year. And again, hopefully it's not a big issue. Hopefully we'll re-sign him. So that's kind of what I did. I also wanted to look at the rosters for the Patriots last year. They only had 25 players. Oh no, excuse me, they had 26 players for their roster for offense. I reduced it down to 25 for this because they listed 3 centers, so I didn't think that was necessary. And then I went to the Giants as well last year. They only had 23 players, so I upped it to 25. I added a safety and a D tackle just so I could get some special team stuff. So I thought it made more sense, and of course the three special teamers. So let's get into it. Let's get into who we kept. So obviously Carr playing at 25.3 this year, and then The quarterback was tough. You know, I was trying to get like Mitchell Trubisky or Jacoby Brissett, but at the end of the day, I settled on Hoyer because the last 3 years he's played for $1 million. So I'll give him $1 million again, and I did set out to get guys that were familiar with the system. So I got a Patriot. He's been in the system. He can help Carr with the playbook. So I think that's a very good option. And then we'll do a quarterback, get a draft a quarterback, a UDFA. And if you haven't checked out my video yet on quarterbacks, late round quarterbacks, UDFAs, go check it out. So I listed a bunch there that I think the readers could get. And then clear, we have Jacobs at 3.8 this year. Then I added James White at 2.5 million, another Patriot or ex-Patriot, and then Trey Regas at 800K. And then we'll draft a running back as well, or bring back Richard, but probably draft a running back four. They kept four running backs, and Ingold is a five, fullback. And this is the breakdown. This is what the Patriots actually had last year. So I just kind of follow what McDaniels did because maybe it's going to be about the same. But yeah, I added White again, a Patriot. So in the running back room, we have somebody familiar with the system to get these guys up to speed. These are all 1 year deals. Obviously, we sign if we draft somebody, that'll be a little bit longer. So we'll see what happens. And again, Jacobs' contract, you never know what's going to happen with that. But I didn't really put too much thought into the running back position. I think James White's a pretty obvious choice. I think it's going to be the one. Maybe Bolden could be another one. But I just think with the price and the way he fits in the system, free agent, I think it just makes a lot of sense to do it. The big one and the toughest one to do, honestly, was the receiver. And I tried hard to get the top receivers or Devontae Adams. I couldn't get the numbers to work. So I was like, you know what? I want speed. I want an outside guy with speed. Marquez Valdez Scantling was a guy I thought about. Um, 6'5" guy, 4.37 speed, 17.5 yards per reception. He's relatively healthy, except for last year. He hurt his hamstring kind of late in the season. But he's looking at 10 million a year, about a 2 year deal, 10 million, 11 guaranteed. This is from PFF. But his stats last year, I mean, weren't like, to me, didn't represent a $10 million player. I mean, he had 33 receptions, 690 yards, 6 TDs. So that was his 2020 year. That was his best year. So to me, and 20.9 yards per reception, was to me that just, I mean, I put him down at first, and I was like, you know what, I think I could do better. Then I look at DJ Chark, who going into this was my number one guy, 6'4", 4.33 speed. But he's dealt with, started reading about it, finding out more about it, tons of injuries. Like, he has had Bortles, Minshew, and Lawrence throwing to him 4 seasons. So I think he's primed for a breakout. But his best year was 2019, 73 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 8 TDs, 13.8 yards per reception. I thought it was going to be a lot higher. But he got hurt in 2021. He played 4 games. So, and he's going to be 3 years, probably 12 million a year, 22.6 guaranteed. Just with the injuries, I was like, maybe we could do better. Then you start looking at Z kind of combination receivers. Gallup, he's good, but he's dealt with his share of injuries coming off a torn ACL late in the season. He's probably going to get $5 million, which that's a good contract. You get him for $5 million, 4.45 speed, which is good, not great, good. But if I'm looking, I don't know. That was a possibility. Chris Godwin's a possible 6'1", but he also tore his ACL. He's going to be looking for 16 and a half, a 34 guarantee, so a lot of money guaranteed. He did have a big 2019 season with 86 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 15.5 yards per reception, 9 TDs, so big season there. But 2021, 98 receptions, 1,100, 5 TDs, a little down. He's a very good player, but again, another torn ACL. So to shell out that kind of money, who knows? I mean, Christian Kirk, a Z kind of, but mainly a slot guy, but he plays Z. 4.45 speed, 5'11". Not significant injuries, but 79% of his stuff's in the slot. 3 years, 35 million, 11.67 a year, 21 guaranteed. I mean, he's a possibility. 2021, 77 receptions, 982 yards, 5 TDs, 12.8 yards per reception. Cedric Wilson's another guy I thought of, but only 3 seasons, only one breakout season, and 600 yards, 6 TDs, 13 yards per reception, 4.55 speed, so he doesn't have that dynamic speed. So again, I'm trying to find the right receiver that I'm trying to get to. Mike Williams, no, it's too much Terrell Williams in my brain for that. Allen Robinson, awesome, but is tailing off. He was hurt a lot last year. He got hurt in 2020, didn't really come back in 2021. He's going to command a 15 million a year salary, 27 guaranteed. Devontae Adams, we already know his stats. I'm not even going to go through it, but I mean, he's looking at what, 25 million a year. Honestly, I couldn't get the numbers to work, so yeah, so we are going to go to my guy. We're going to get Brandon Cooks. He meets the checkbox. He's reportedly buddies with Carr, so he's a guy that he probably wants to play with. He was a Patriot, so he knows the system, and he's a badass. He's got a great contract, according to Pro Football Network. He'd only cost $12 million on the cap this year for whatever team gets him. Plus, it's not guaranteed. So if we ever need a cap space, we could extend him, restructure him, do what we need to do. Hopefully, he stays. So we could actually get more cap money from him. Huge year last year, 90 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 11.5 yards per reception, 6 TDs. He can play any receiving spot you want him to. He's dynamic. He's got speed. And so yeah, that to me was a no-brainer. He can stretch the field. Teams have to respect him. But I am going to trade for him with Houston. I'm going to trade Andre James and a third-round pick for Brandon Cooks. I noticed Brandon Cooks was projected to command a second-round pick, but I'm going to give Houston a starting center, which they need. And they seem to like our centers. They took Morrissey last year, so I think the scheme was a fit, and give them the center and James, and a third round pick, and I'm going to get Brandon Cooks on the squad. So there you go. There's my first big signing. Obviously we've had Brian Hoyer here, not earth breaking. James White, good signing. Brandon Cooks, awesome signing. So for our receiving group, that gets us a receiver from the Patriots as well. So again, we're going with the theme of you know of players that have been in the system that can do it, that know the deal, make the transition a lot easier for us. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. So our receiving group looks pretty solid, with Cooks in the mix and Renfro. Um, yeah, I don't see any problem with our receiving group. So so yeah, we'll have Edwards, Renfro. I'm going to draft a receiver. Probably, if you haven't checked out my video on receivers yet, go take a look. Probably an X-type receiver, Traylon Burks, Drake London, George Pickens. Let's see here, Bell out of Purdue. So there's some guys in there I like. Christian Watson, even maybe the Ohio State guys. But check out my video, see what you think, and then we'll wait for the combine to get over and see how that works. But yeah, he has 6 receivers. So then Tyrone Johnson, making 900K, and then throw in one other receiver, again at around 900K as well, Dylan Stoner if you want, or whoever. We'll find somebody in the draft, or maybe a UDFA guy will surprise us, or who knows. Maybe it's a special teams guy we put there. But the bottom line is, we have Brandon Cooks, Hunter Renfro, and a solid draft pick to play that X receiver along with Waller. We got James White and Jacobs. So that's a solid crew for Carr. He wants weapons. We got him weapons. So, and then of course, you have Waller at tight end. You have Morrow. And then I'll either draft a tight end. If you haven't seen my video for that, please go check it out. There's lots of good tight ends out there, even late rounds we can get, or bring back Carrier even if we have to. And then, of course, we have Miller at 16.8. And I just want to mention with Miller, if by 318 we move on from him or get him traded or whatnot, there's no dead money. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. And I actually did a video on it with the offensive line prospects for the Raiders. So you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. But yeah, so there'd be no dead money if we want to clear that space and go get a different tackle, one that fits our scheme a little better in the run game for power blocking, because Miller's not really the power blocker that we might need. But again, he's a solid left tackle. He's got a decent contract. In fact, as the contract goes throughout the life, it goes down each year a little bit, so it saves us cap space going down. But just throwing it out there, just in case you see something like that happen, it is a possibility. Then I'm going to add Morgan Moses. Heck yeah, I'm going to add Morgan Moses. He's the most steady, reliable right tackle that's out there right now for us. He can he can block in our scheme. Be next to Leather would be awesome there. 7.75 million a year. Probably a 2 or 3 year deal is probably be looking for, which is fine for our right tackle. Gladly pay it, no problem. I'll bring back Illuminor as well. Pay him $1 million to be our swing tackle. Again, Illuminor. So the tight end group, I didn't get anybody familiar with this system. I tried to get Gronk in there and the money, but it just didn't work. That would be cool. But I'll bring Illuminor back, and he's familiar with the system as well, being from New England. So we'll have a guy on the line that is familiar. Of course, we have Leatherwood and Simpson still, but I'm going to bring in also from the Patriots, Ted Karras, about $4 million a year for 2 years. Really good player, good center, but also a really good guard. He can come in and compete with Simpson for a starting job, or even yeah, coming to compete with Simpson because I'm going to get the best center I possibly can in Bradley Bozeman. And let's go back to Ted Karras a little bit. We're going with that power blocking scheme. That's what he does. He's good at it. Simpson has two, I think, but just in case. And we need a backup center since I canceled one of the center positions, so he can play center too. He's really good. But I'm bringing in Bradley Bozeman for the Ravens, one of the best centers on the market, and he's going to be about $7 million a year for a 2 or 3 year deal. No problem there. He can do the gap blocking scheme really well. So this is definitely an upgrade over Andre James. So trade Andre James in a third for Brandon Cooks. I'll do that all day long, and then get Bradley Bozeman here. And I mean, I am going to spend more on the line this year. We saw what happens last year when we don't spend a lot on the line. It doesn't really work. So in total, our offense is at right at 100.5 million. So puts us right there. I wanted to kind of look our top five, 69 million. Next year, our top five would be about 75 million. So not too much different. Carr's contract goes up to 35.3, but still, it's definitely reasonable. It's definitely in the ballpark of what we could do in terms of being realistic to go for next year, to be able to have cap room next year. So this is going to kill us on the offensive side. And then with the new additions that we did with James White, Hoyer White, Cooks, Morgan Moses, Ted Karras, and Bradley Bozeman equals right around 34 million. So I spent about 34 million in free agents on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll switch over to the defense. And the first thing is defensive tackles positions. This was the hardest one for me. Kind of went back and forth. I tried to match because kind of used bigger tackles. So they had Leonard Williams in the Giants at 291 pounds and Raymond Johnson 269. Well, we have a lighter weight 269 in Farrell. So I tried to get something similar. And then they also have their D tackles, or Austin Jackson 314, and they had let's see here, Danny Shelton, who was like 340 something, I think. So yeah, some bigger dudes, and then they had Dexter Lawrence at 342. Quincy Roche is a defensive end at 243. So I was trying to match up some of these guys. Yeah, Danny Shelton was 345. So I kind of wanted to see what the best was. So as far as defensive tackles, I was looking at Calais Campbell as a possibility, and B.J. Hill, and Quentin Jefferson. So those were sort of the three guys I was going back and forth on. Calais Campbell, I thought I was going to go with him, and I still might because one, Yannick, he's recruiting him. Two, he's going to do 1 year deals, and which will help because I am going to put on my draft as a defensive tackle as well to draft. So I would expect that guy to be able to come in and play behind him and then take over. But he was productive this year, 2020, or he did good. I mean, he missed 5 games in 2020, but last year he played almost all the games, 56% of the snaps last year. He even played special teams, so he had an 80 grade as a 3 technique, was really high. So I'm torn on this one. You guys can even tell me if it should be Calais Campbell or B.J. Hill because it's going to be one of those guys I'm going to do. right now I have B.J. Hill, but even now I'm talking myself out of it. It might be Calais Campbell. So here's B.J. Hill here. He's an up and coming player. That's why I like him because he's a three technique. 3 sacks. He had a 70 plus grade in pass rush, 12 combined quarterback hits and sacks. Um, he's a good run defender. He's got weight. He's over 300-pounder, so that's good. We want bigger guys on the line. Oh, I'm sorry, he had 5.5 sacks last year, 50 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 12 quarterback hits. So he's a really good good up and coming player. He's going to get right around 8-9 million, same as Calais Campbell. He'll be right around 8. He'll just be a longer term deal, so it'll be more of a commitment. So I'm kind of torn on those two. And I looked at Quentin Jefferson, but Quentin Jefferson is good. 47 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits. He's been in the league for 6 years. Obviously, he's going to bring 5 or 6 million, but just a little on the lighter side. And I don't think he takes on double teams as well. So on a 4-3, that's fine. But with our 3-4 defense, I just don't think he's a fit. So we're going to say B.J. Hill right now, but Calais Campbell may be the guy, and I'm not mad at it if it is, because hopefully I drafted an awesome guy too that's going to take his spot over in a year or two. So. But right now, B.J. Hill is going to be my guy for the position. Hopefully, that wasn't too confusing. But that was a tough choice to make between the two. So yeah, they'll give us Crosby, Yannick, Farrell. Unfortunately, $10 million. That's killing me. I'm going to put B.J. Hill in there for right now. Then nose tackle. I went ahead and I just got. And the other thing too, B.J. Hill is kind of leading the way for me because he was a Giant, so he knows the system. So part of my philosophy going into this was guys that know the system. Even though he went to Cincinnati last year, he was previously there in New York, so he already knows Patrick Graham's system. So I think he's a better fit. So I'm still sticking with that for now. B.J. Hill's the guy. And then we can take a look at the nose tackle. Again, we want the bigger guys. I'm taking Austin Johnson right off the Giants, putting him right on this team, $3 million a year. He's an awesome player, especially at the run game. He's really good. He's really good nose tackle for the run stopping. So I'm going to go ahead and get him. No problem taking him. And then I'm going to go ahead and get Tim Settle from the Commanders. He's a nose tackle, over 300-pounder, but he's an up and coming player, a young guy. He's probably going to be around $4 million a year. But we're going to get him in his prime. And the one thing about him is he's really good at pass rush. So you usually don't get a nose tackle that's solid, kind of gives you the pass rush ability, but he actually does. So we have an opportunity to kind of get a player in his prime. So I'm going to go with that. I kind of like that. Kind of like that idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's not overly expensive or anything like that. I think Settle in limited snaps. He's stuck behind a bunch of guys with the Commanders, so he only got I don't know, like 320 snaps or something like that last year. So very, very few snaps. So he's a guy I think would make a lot of sense to bring in. Um, yeah, I think that definitely makes a ton of sense to get him on board, and I think he'll be a solid addition for us. So I'm sorry, I was just looking through for his stats. I had it somewhere. I was gonna give you his stats real quick, but that's okay. I think you guys get the point. He's a good player, good solid guy to have on the team. Um, so yeah, 320 stats, always healthy. He's not going to command a lot of money. He's stuck behind Jonathan Allen and Payne and Landonitis. So, I mean, 2020 was his best season. 5 sacks, 19 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hits. But he definitely has the ability to do it. He's a backup tackle. And then I'm going to draft a D tackle as well. If something falls through with our D tackle, obviously we just signed a big dude, 328, Andre Billings, who I think is just a depth piece. But if it fell through, we just signed him as well, so that's fine too. But that would be a solid crew. We've got 2 guys on the defensive line that have been in the system, know it well, can teach it. We got 2 young guys up and coming. Eventually, next year we'll replace Farrell with somebody else. I'm going to draft somebody, so I'll make it a priority in the first 3 rounds to get somebody there. So I really like the way that line looks. I'm really happy with the way that came out. I'm really not that happy, I guess, with the way that the linebackers come out. I wasn't able to get somebody in the linebacker group that was already with Patriots or the Giants or Carolina or anything else with where all the other coaches or the Ravens where the other coaches were from. But kind of went with our guys here. You know, he had the Giants had two Sam linebackers last year, so I just kind of put Morrow there for now. He could play on linebacker spots at like $4 million a year. Then I created a spot nickel linebacker for Abrams because I had no idea what to do with him, so I did that, and then inside linebacker Perryman, and I did Markel Lee. 1 million because he always shows up on our team anyway, so might as well just put him in. And then weak side linebacker, they had one at the Giants last year, so Divine Diablo. And then outside linebacker, Malcolm Kuntz, and then we'll draft an outside linebacker as well. And that'll be one of the priorities. So receiver one, a priority. So first 2 rounds, receiver. First 3 rounds, we'll be looking at D tackle, outside linebacker, or priority free agent after. If we have some money saved over, we can maybe look at that. So those are some things we're going to do. Cornerback, Mullen, Hobbs, brought back Nixon. And then we're going to bring on another big splash, Stephen Gilmore, 14 million a year, 20 million guaranteed, so 2-year deal. And yeah, no brainer there. Played with Carolina last year, so coming over with one of his coaches, but obviously knows the Patriots system. The guy's a tremendous player. I had a tough time with this. I tried so hard to get Jackson, some other guys, even younger. At the end of the day, Gilmore is relatively healthy. He's a great cornerback. He's a Hall of Famer. He's X and O's guy. He could teach. So he could teach our young guys, and it's going to be you know and knowing understanding the draft, it's going to be hard to get a lockdown quarterback in the first round. I know they say some of these guys are locked. I don't. I think there's really only 2 lockdown quarterbacks first round, and then after that, it'd be hard to get for us. And I think it's easier to get the receiver that we might want, and then later in the draft, there's good depth at tackle. I think there's pretty good depth too at linebacker as well. So I feel pretty confident in that. And really, the outside linebacker, I don't necessarily need to get an outside linebacker. I get edge, outside linebacker, or really any linebacker, because some of these guys are all multifaceted. And we can get somebody afterwards anyway. So best linebacker available is fine. But yeah, so knowing how the draft flows, and if you haven't checked out the draft series, please do. So then we go into so I'm going to draft a cornerback as well, bring a young guy. And then safety room, we have Mourning. Gillespie, I have high hopes for. And then I'm going to do it. I wasn't going to. I was going to bring in McCourtney from the Patriots, but the more I thought about it, he's going to command a little bit more money. And so, yeah, I'm going to bring in Jabril Peppers. Even though he had a down year last year, he's just with the Giants, so he knows the scheme. He's going to be on a cheap 1-year deal just because he needs to get back on his feet, probably five mil, something like that. And he'll be able to coach these guys up. He'll be a position group expert because he just came from the system. He'll challenge Gillespie, even show him the way. Who knows which one will start? But I have high hopes for Gillespie. And so I kind of backed up McCourtney as well because he's probably going to sign a 2 or 3 year deal. And that'll take away a little bit from Gillespie, who I think is probably ready. But I'm also going to draft a guy. And I did add a safety so I'll just bring in, whatever safety, Teamer, bring him back, and Levitt. He always shows up anyway, so bring him back for special teams. And so that's the defense. I think it's pretty solid. So I'm not as happy with the linebacking group, but it was the best I could do. I had to save money somewhere, so I chose to do it there. But if I draft an awesome linebacker, would check out my linebacker video. There's some good ones out there. Some edges to kind of round that out. I think it'll look a whole lot better. And again, the draft is already pre-baked in this, so I spent about $76 million on the defense, and then the draft, the $10 million is baked in the final numbers. Top 5 is $43 million. Top 4 next year is $40 million. So yeah, we're going to go a little over next year because it will add another top 5 player, but still right in the mix because next year's salary cap will go up anyway. So this is a more realistic, doable defense put together, and I think it's actually a really good defense. Except I think the linebacking group's fine. I think Diablo takes a step. Perryman's there; he's a Pro Bowler, and then Morrow's back. If he gets back to his pre-self or whatnot, we'll be totally fine. We have some backups there, and if Malcolm shows up and blitzes, we get a good draft pick, I think we'll be fine. So yeah, I brought in B.J. Hill was right around 8-9 million. Austin Johnson, Tim Settle, Stephen Gilmore, and Jabril Peppers. It comes out funny enough, and I did not plan this. It comes out right around 34 million, which is exactly what I spent on the offense. So both coaches would be ecstatic with me. So all in all, with the special teams, the dead money, the draft, everything I did, it comes right out to about $205 million. So slightly under the salary cap. I didn't make the 198 like I wanted, but it was close. And I could make the 198 because I could always go back to Waller's contract, restructure it, save money. Cook's contract, restructure it, save money. And even some of these other guys, if I want to extend it further, if I wanted to get more or longer or whatnot. Perryman is not guaranteed money, so you can do something there. So yeah, so that's my Super Bowl team for 2022. I think it's very realistic. It makes a lot of sense. The highest paid players going into 2022 and 2023 are actual most productive players, whereas 2021 they really weren't. We're Littleton, Nassib, Kowalski, these guys that weren't doing anything for us. But now it makes a whole lot more sense. And I really think this team is solid. Love to hear your comments. Sorry it was so long winded. Here's pictures of Austin Johnson. I got talking so much I didn't do it. Tim Settle, obviously you know what Stephen Gilmore looks like, and Jabril Peppers. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Really want your comments and feedback on all this stuff. Did I do a good job? Do a bad job? Or did I restructure the contracts so the way you guys would do it? Maybe, maybe not. Let me know. Definitely let me know players that maybe you think could do a little bit better. I mean, I'm not really. I'm happy with the receiving group. I think there's room for improvement there. It was just hard to make it better with the limitations on the money. I think it's good though. I mean, we'll draft an X receiver. We've got Cooks will play the sort of Z receiver, and we have our wire slot and Renfro. We've got speed and Tyrone Johnson. We got an X again with Edwards, who's going to compete with the draft pick, and then Stoner plays whatever Z X slot, whatever. And again, we can kind of play around with that. I think the line is really good. I know a lot of people want Schreff. I just couldn't find a way to afford it. I know spending a little bit more on Bozeman's maybe not anticipated, but I think since we're switching schemes, I think it makes sense. Don't discount the fact that Colton Miller may be on the move. You never know, because we could use a better blocking run blocking tackle out there, especially with the new scheme. So keep that in mind. I like Ted Karras coming over just because he could come over and play center. We could save money there and get a different guard. For sure, we could do that. But I'll definitely be drafting a guard. There's nine positions still open, so we'll prioritize it with obviously receiver, outside linebacker, and and D tackle. But also, if the right safety fell to us, Daxton Hill or something like that crazy happened, I definitely take him. But yeah, we'll get a low round safeties, cornerbacks. There's good depth at those positions in the draft, so we can get those guys. They're going to be backups primarily, anyways, unless we get a top safety. But for the most part, those guys will be backups. With a third string tight end, there's plenty of good third string type tight ends in the draft, or even UDFA. No problem there. Quarterback, we can get a UDFA or a late round draft pick. So that's not necessarily a priority. And so, yeah, so those are the positions we would have to fill. And running back 4, running back 3, we could bring back Rashard. We still have a little bit of money left. So that's a possibility. But yeah, but there's a lot of good, if you haven't checked out my running back videos, a lot of good late round running backs as well. So I really like this. I really like the way that it came out. I really like the way that it meets the salary cap, but it also would be sustainable for the years going forward. We got Carr extended, we got Renfro extended, we got Crosby extended, which were my priorities going in. We kind of messed around with the Onyx contract, but I wasn't really thrilled with that, but it is what it is. And Waller, we're going to leave him be. And then if it proves out that the rumors aren't true about him and Carr, and that he's healthy, he's playing up to himself again, then maybe we will look at that extension. But definitely brought some guys back. Probably not the guys that a lot of you may have been expecting. I definitely really changed up the defensive tackles just because this defense is different. We need heavier bodies. We need bigger dudes. And so we got bigger, heavier bodies that are familiar with the system too, and guys that are in their prime. I mean, Austin Johnson's 6 years or whatever. B.J. Hill's in his prime. Tim Settle's in his prime, and so yeah, I think these guys would be ready to rock and roll. Gilmore, 2 years. I definitely think we get 2 years out of him. Drill Bill Peppers, it's a prove it year for him. So we get him on the cheap 1 year. Doesn't take away from Gillespie's growth. So I think that's a great move. I expect a lot of Gillespie this year. I was expecting it last year, but I think this year's this year. Um, the linebacker group probably could be better. I'm sure I'll look for some comments from you guys on that. Didn't have a whole lot of room to play, only about $3 million or so dollars. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Please like, share, subscribe, send the video around. Hopefully it's shared. Definitely want your comments. Let's try to make the roster even better, and let's get on to the combine as well and see what's happening with the combine. All right, everyone. Have a good night. This is Raider Sparks with the Raider Roster Report, and we'll talk to you next time.